Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at how to cope with boredom and loneliness, a guide for the isolated. So I just played a game called In the Mind of Marlowe, which was an hour long free to play, not even free to play, frankly, is the right description. I would say free game that was a point and click adventure from the same developers as this game. So it then becomes very questionable how this game is also free, how a developer could make two uh, slightly comedic, kind of British, stiff upper lip style comedy games, and how do you monetize that? And apparently their choice is to not monetize it and just list both games, the only two games they have on Steam for free, which is appreciated. Sometimes artists just want their art to be seen, and this is one of the rare cases where a video game critic stops being potentially a buying advice giver and starts becoming more of a curator of potentially good content, or at least try to find some good content. We never know until we actually play it. There's, frankly, for the buying advice, nothing really to say because, of course, you should just get the game. It's free. Play it. Uh, this game, like the previous one, will probably only take an hour. I did go back and play it a second time to get all the achievements, but if you play fairly thoroughly and get every single item in the mind of Marlowe, mind of Marlowe, then you will almost certainly get all the achievements if you use all the items and get all the items. Actually, it did turn out that pretty much all of the items that you picked up were usable. So we'll take that knowledge going forward and let's just start playing. Now, the previous game was almost more like a episodic comedy show, in which you just kind of it was voice acted um, and you just kind of heard a lot of lines of dialogue. What's strange here is it seems like this one isn't voice acted. It says you are Nigel Wimble, hard-hitting PBTV documentary filmmaker. Previous game was also about a documentary filmmaker, so I wonder if the idea was that they were going to have a series of point-and-click adventures where you followed around a documentary crew. You are at 23 Millbury, close to finish filming the final episode of your award-winning series, How to Cope with Boredom and Loneliness, a guide for the isolated. You've come to talk with Harold Fletcher, a 43-year-old man who's been grounded in his bedroom for over 30 years. Since his mother Margaret only allows Harold visitation for 15 minutes a day, you only have enough time to talk about 3 topics. Carefully choose 3 items of interest from Harold's room to learn how he copes with boredom and loneliness. Well, this definitely feels like this is much more of a challenge than the previous game, which was kind of much more of a narrative. So, if I was going to pick something, I'd go here. Every item tells a story, but not every story is relevant to Nigel's show. Confirm your selections, then watch the documentary unfold. So this feels like there might be a pick 3 items, and that will give you a random branching path. Not a random branching path, but a branching path to an ending. Your show will be scored by a focus group at the end. Good luck. We may have to play this multiple times. So we've got an achievement immediately there. So, telescope. Think about the telescope. Imagine the telescope and select it. So this is the same interface basically as the previous game. I almost wonder if I played these games out of order, and this is the older game, because I'm surprised it doesn't have voice acting. Although the previous game really seemed like it only had 1 or 2 people voice acting it anyway, so maybe they just couldn't get enough people. I would also say in the previous game, the camera was much more zoomed in, so the graphics looked a lot more pixely, where this is a much more realistic zoom as far as the scale. We still have very pixely graphics, but they're not crazy.
Harold's only view to the larger world is through this telescope. It breaks your heart, hopefully.
Maud from 94 is rather slender.
Sorry, hit my microphone there. So what we're going to do is, I guess, look and think about everything.
Potential soundbite. With an eye in the sky, you can sometimes forget where your feet are. Oh, that's poetic.
These are pretty weird, kind of British documentary perspectives that I really wonder how the rest of the world would relate to that, because it kind of just feels like it's a local PBS equivalent with no budget, and PBS, the public broadcasting system in America, tend not to really have too many local low budget products or things they create in favor of just re-airing the national shows that either New York or California's PBS station makes,
I noticed a
or
mural
re-airing other content other channels made.
Did Harold paint this as a metaphor for the relationship with his mother?
That was the first and last time Harold scribbled on his wall.
Here we can see the mother is awful. Of course, the mother and Harold would be the two objects you would want to pick first and foremost.
Potential soundbite. Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, that guy with no ears, and now Harold Fletcher? Have I discovered a tortured artist?
Guy with no ears. Like, there was a guy that cut off one ear, not both.
This oversized cuddly toy looks like it's grown old with Harold. I bet a story about these two growing up could pull at the heartstrings. Wait, what are those stains?
Kevin's been rather good to me over the years.
Both this game and the previous game tend to have a occasional dirty joke in it. See.
I couldn't help but notice a novelty crab clock. Sometimes to combat loneliness, the isolated will attribute personality to inanimate objects, like in that Tom Hanks movie.
Oh, Harold loves that clock. We sometimes use it to time the intervals between Harold being naughty. For every 5 minutes he's good, I don't smack him round the head.
So, yeah, I don't have really a lot to say here, so we should just move forward, I guess. Because it is just going to be click and get dialogue. Click and get dialogue.
In a way, time has been his only companion. Oh, that's fucking majestic, Nigel.
This is one of the... what you really wouldn't want to do with a point-and-click adventure. I certainly have played plenty of point-and-click adventures where you get locked into long dialogue loops, and it's like 5 paragraphs, or it feels like 5 paragraphs of dialogue just being told to you directly, to the point where you're basically just forced to click forward through a cutscene, basically. But I also wouldn't want to see 1 or 2 sentences spoken for every single item. This feels too formulaic. It really feels like you, in a small percentage, need the ability to just have items be dismissed or ignored in a point-and-click adventure, where the character you're playing as would just say, it's nothing, it's garbage, it's useless. And usually that is just the default option for an object that you're not supposed to pay attention to, but it also is a more realistic option instead of having something special to say about every item in a room.
An old toy truck, made by Harold's father, perhaps. Maybe I can trigger a painful memory.
Oh, Harold never plays with that after everything his father did for him.
So we get more backstory, I imagine. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is exactly the entire scene. Like, this is the entire room of the game.
Potential soundbite. A poorly carved toy truck serves as a reminder of an absent father. Where sometimes life on the road means, Mommy, when's Daddy coming home? Oh, that's gonna hit hard.
What's funny here is, since both of the free games from this developer kind of have this theme of somebody being a male character being a mental mess, it really does seem to imply that the creators of the game were probably mental messes of some sort. Like, you don't hit the nail on the head that well unless you've got some experience with it. But I don't know how you turn a game like this into a longer experience unless you just straight up try to do something like the book series, A Series of Unfortunate Events, where there's a horrible thing that happens to the main character, and then they have to try and save the day by rescuing themselves, and then as soon as they feel like they've rescued themselves, it's the next act and the next horrible thing has happened to the characters.
An empty aquarium. Pet fish, like Harold, are prisoners to their environment. Well, I can draw a great parallel to this.
Harold's father was never there, so I got him a fish.
So we could go father, 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 and that's probably what we should do on the first try. Although I think we also will use the save file, and that way we can potentially get back to this point if we need to do it multiple times. And I don't know how many multiple times I really would want to do this.
How long has Harold been playing guitar? What if I've discovered a virtuoso? It looks well used.
Mother says I sing like a dog, howling in agony.
And so you could go an art route also. So you could go art, potential third art, or pervert, potential third pervert, and then dad. We'll see if there's a mom. 3 items that would trigger the mom reference.
This looks like a screenplay. Is Harold writing a movie?
I like to write erotic drama set in science fiction landscapes.
So that could be art or pervert, and I bet that is the idea, is to have some items that lock with 2 other items.
Could there be room for one more? A modern TV? I'm surprised his mother allows him to watch television.
He's allowed that on no later than 8 p.m.
Potential soundbite. For the isolated idiot, television isn't an escapism we all take for granted. Nice.
What's funny is that if you think about a game like BioShock, which is a very weird game to compare to a point-click adventure like this, BioShock had its recordings that you would pick up, and you'd hear lines of audio dialogue that would tell you several different story plot lines. There's probably not anywhere as much dialogue or story writing as you would think in BioShock, compared to even a game like this. But the difference is BioShock has that lovely main gameplay loop of just first-person shooting, which people are just super familiar with and used to doing. So if you can play a game for an hour and turn your brain off, and then you get less than a paragraph of dialogue in between that hour of your brain being off, most people are satisfied in video games. Where compare that to a movie or TV show or a book, that would be completely unacceptable. Let's keep going.
Boris the KGB movie came out in the 80s. Was this the last movie Harold went out to see?
Boris is actually ex-KGB. He fights for us now. It shows people can change, Mother. This is why I don't allow Harold to watch movies anymore, rotting his mind with Soviet propaganda.
I assume it's just a giant mole on her.
Potential soundbite. For some, movies are an escape from reality. For Harold, his reality is like a movie. One of those terrible indie movies.
So, escape from reality seemed to be a theme too. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's this, this, and this for an escape to reality option. And then there's nothing on the window. And so then that just leaves the mother, the bed, and the son.
Harold's mother, Margaret. How long will she punish him for?
Oh, I wish you'd stop staring at me, Mr. Wimble. Harold doesn't need a father.
Potential soundbite. A mother's love is very special. I've been with many single mothers, so I know firsthand how special it can be. Harold's mother's love is special, but not the kind of special love I'm looking for on a Saturday night. And neither is Harold.
Let's see. Let's keep on going.
A 42
Another dirty joke.
man still sleeping in a plastic race car bed? How pathetic. And it's just what I'm looking for.
Oh, Harold loves cars and sleeping. It only made sense to combine his passions.
So we have 2 cars. So there might be a merging there. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Nope, doesn't seem like it.
Harold Fletcher, a curious man in a curious situation.
Is this going to take long? Mother says visitation is only 15 minutes today, even though you're the first visitor I've ever had.
So let's just click the options and see what we have here. Let's animate the subtitles. No save game, oddly. The previous game had a save game. Maybe I did play the games out of order, because this does seem even less like a game than before. Okay. Well, suppose we should just go through it, and we'll just select the telescope, and select the rabbit, and select the erotica. And I assume that that is going to be the pervert path, and we'll try to get any of the paths that are logical. This first time around, I think we'll also probably open up our mind as far as what other paths would be or what other options there might be. I also think this might be fairly annoying if we shoot this documentary and then it makes us go through a whole setup a second time just to pick 3 objects. And very much not much of a game here. Even less than most visual novels would be, and most visual novels are just novels that have visuals in them, that have a few visuals. Even a kinetic visual novel, which means there are absolutely no decisions, probably would have more content than what we're seeing here. With if we really are going to just have one choice that we have to pick several times. But see, I could also see how making a game like this and creating different endings would
Isolation is no
Would
joke.
cause them to
It's
make
not
a
just
lot of
boring,
animation,
it's
a lot
lonely
of
too.
writing,
Nobody
and a
understands
lot
that
of
more than the subject of tonight's episode
just
of
extra
How to Cope
effort.
with Boredom and Loneliness. A
Like,
guide for the isolated.
They drastically
Hello,
needed
I'm Nigel Wimble.
they needed more of a game
Harold
here.
Fletcher has been grounded to his bedroom since 1986. That's over 30 years. His mother has offered us a rare glimpse into his life as prisoner and son.
On your feet, Fletcher. You have a visitor.
I hope to learn how Harold has coped with the boredom and loneliness from 30 years of isolation.
I feel like you could probably have
Eye
a
in the
lot of
sky,
different
you can
games
sometimes forget where your feet
around the
are.
idea of
For
someone
Harold,
coping
he
with boredom
never
and
forgets where
loneliness.
his feet are, but still has sights on the stars.
And see, I imagine the only thing different are going to be these
This old telescope has got me
cutscenes.
through many an afternoon. Sometimes I pretend I'm a World War II sniper and people at the bus stop are advancing Germans. They wouldn't stand a chance if it was a sniper rifle, let me tell you. They could try taking cover, but I'm pretty sure the bullets would penetrate the bus shelter. It would be an absolute bloodbath.
I was going for more of a pervert choice there. And see, that gave me
Harold
one
and his
achievement
cohabiter, an
for seeing
overstuffed
that section.
rabbit, have been through hell together, but at least had each other to ease the loneliness.
Yes, Kevin is a dear friend. We've become rather close over these past few years and perhaps more than just friends at this stage.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Kevin has needs and I have needs. I'm forever sewing that towel back on.
We saw this kind of thing go on in our prison episode, so I'm not entirely surprised to see it happen in here too. Whether this arrangement is mutual, we will never know.
There's
Kevin's
a
decided to
actual
remain
British
quiet
comedian that
during the making of this documentary.
the comedian
I spied a screen
claims he
Harold had been working
had
on. A
sexual
movie
relations
producer
with
in
a
the making.
doll
He
when he
certainly
was a
wouldn't look at a
teenager
place in
kid.
Hollywood. He decided to read
I'm
me
not
some
sure if
lines
it's
from his new screenplay
an act or
called
not.
Brad Planet and the Tentacle of Temptation.
She ran a slightly damp tentacle across his cheek as he gazed longingly into her compound eyes. I don't care that you tried to bite my head off during coitus. I love you, Sheila. Run away to planet Vargon with me. I love you too, Brad, but my father... Let me talk to him. He'll understand once I show him how much I love you. Now come here and kiss me. Oh, Brad. Sheila passionately kisses Brad with her 4 mouths. Brad slowly sticks his finger into her gooey. That will do, Harold. You're a bloody space pervert.
And that gave me another achievement, so I think you
My
are going to
time
just
with
get an
Harold has
achievement
come to an
with each of
end.
these.
I hope one day he will find freedom and live a full life. Until then, he will continue to look for ways to cope with boredom and loneliness. I'm Nigel Wimble. Good night. Join us next week as Nigel investigates video games. Is it more than just bang bang your mum's a fag? 9 p.m. Wednesday night. BBTV.
Yeah, it almost feels like they pretty much are just thinking of about 15 jokes and that's about it. So focus group report, good. I used my telescope the exact same way. Amazing show, 8 out of 10. Pat from Wimble end. Wow, hard hitting stuff. Anyone know where I could order a robot rabbit like that? 10 out of 10. A new fan. The screenplay sounded hot. When's part 2 coming out? 10 out of 10. Alan from Wallowdale. So we got a good ending, which I bet we could probably get a better ending. And then we could look at the credits or we could reshoot, and I assume that we want to reshoot. And I assume what we want to do here is try and skip through all this. Alright, so artist, and then movies, and then music. And we'll go with the artist route. And then we just are gonna pretty much sit and watch. Yeah. Far too much voice acting for this game. For as much as I might complain about
Isolation is
some
no
games
joke.
not having voice acting when they really
It's not
should,
just boring,
this is
it's
a
lonely
great
too.
example of somebody
Nobody
as a
understands that
not
more
really
than
having
the
a game
subject of
director
tonight's
almost certainly
episode
that
of
would have said,
How
hey,
to
let's
Cope
not
with
put any
Boredom
budget
and
or
Loneliness.
time or
A
energy
guide
into
for the
recording
isolated.
audio and
Hello,
instead
I'm Nigel
put more
Wimble.
time and energy into
Harold
thinking
Fletcher
up
has been grounded to his
standard
bedroom
like point and
since
click puzzles or
1986. That's over 30 years.
more items to
His
click
mother
and
has
select
offered us
on.
a rare glimpse into his life as prisoner and son.
On your feet, Fletcher. You have a visitor.
When you compare
I've
this
got to learn
game
how
to
Harold was
like
coped
the
with
Double
boredom and
Fine game, The
loneliness
Cave,
from 30
The
years
Cave
of
is way better
isolation.
because it has platforming and a much longer
I don't know much
story.
about art, but I know all the greats had one thing
Even though
in
I would
common.
say The Cave isn't like
Absent or
a
orphaned
great story.
mothers.
It
Could
it
Harold
would
be
be
a
way
trapped
better
artist?
than
I created
this
this
shorter
piece when I was about
experience.
9 years old. I had planned for an entire underwater scene, but only got as far as these fish before Mother burst through the door screaming. I was so startled, I stumbled and fell from the shelf, causing myself a serious back injury. The broken bones eventually healed on their own, but my breathing can be quite wheezy. I'm quite sure I needed medical attention, but Mother said only good boys are allowed to access the ambulance service. And he's never drawn on the walls since.
Yeah, there's just, I think, going to be an
I
achievement
noticed
for
a
each one of
poster
these.
for an old children's
And
movie.
the
For some,
combination of
movies are
items
an
probably
escape
don't
from
really
reality.
matter. I wouldn't be
For
surprised
me,
if it doesn't
this
just give you
reality is
a,
like a movie. A
uh,
depressing TV movie.
it doesn't just give you a random score.
I do love getting lost in a good movie. I think Boris the KGB movie was the last time I did get lost in a movie. It was the last time Mother rewarded me for good behaviour. I remember it like yesterday.
Sorry, I hit my microphone again. I've put a new soundproofing his band a week after release. Yeah, I've put a new, like, oh, looks like there's an actual game here.
I'm a mean, I'm an intellectual, I'm Russian, you see, I'm the homosexual. Glad comrade, your drink's been laced. I'm gonna tie you up, pollinate your face. I want to torture you.
There was a singing section in the other game I played, but I didn't actually see it while I was recording the footage. Yeah, this new soundproofing I have, it does get in the way a little bit around the microphone. It's a like sound isolation shield. See, this definitely feels like they thought this was gonna be just hilariously funny, and it's alright. It's not, but you really haven't built up enough tension where a comedy section would be subverting expectations enough to
Boris
break
used to
that
say,
tension.
Oh, behave, brother.
Get it? Behave? It was awfully funny when Mother used to tell me to behave and I'd retort, oh, behave, Mother. Do you remember that, Mother? Yes, I do remember, you cheeky little shit. Then Mother would put you over a knee, but you didn't tell the man that, did you? Have you seen the version on YouTube where the movie speeds up every time Boris kills a dissident? It becomes quite dizzying.
Surprised they let him do YouTube.
Can take you to places only your ears can see.
I feel like the other game, though, was a little bit more sad, too. This is just unrealistically pathetic.
I'll play you a new piece I've been working on, entitled Plastic Race Car Bed.
So maybe that song is something that should be. Maybe it's guitar and plastic race car bed.
Sitting in my car, my little plastic car, yes, here we are. Oh my car, my little plastic car, take me to the road and I sing this song. Old hot tar, not in my car, these tires are made for asphalt roads.
Yeah, when you compare this to something like Binding of Isaac, like in the story of Binding of Isaac, you have this crazy abusive mother character that you eventually get to fight and defeat, where there's no
and loneliness.
no option here, I'm sure, in which Harold is going to
Join
actually
us next week
snap
as
and
Nigel investigates Jesus. Did he really have a beard? 9 p.m. Wednesday night on PBTV.
so that last sentence is different in randomized, but everything else seems to be the same. Focus group report bad. I stopped my child from drawing on the wall by forcing her to smoke an entire carton of crayons. 2 out of 10. Linda from Tits Patch. I wish that mother would behave. Touching stuff. 7 out of 10. Simon from Middlewich. Very poignant moments when he pulled out the guitar. 10 out of 10. So, John from the Bishop's Wig. So we should potentially see if we can find 3 things that are 10 out of 10. We're also, I suppose, looking for 3 things that would be 2 out of 10 or lower. So play again. This is just going to get quicker and quicker as we barely pay attention. So we have the TV, we have the fish tank, we have the truck, we have the clock, we have the race car, and we have the mother. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's just go through these 3 things. Since clock, truck, and fish tank don't synergize that much. And then TV, mother, in bed. Yeah, next time. And then we'll have to think if there's a better synergy here. Because I kind of feel like the rabbit, the clock, and the bee would be 3 animals. But then the fish would also be an animal. And then if it was fish on the wall and then fish tank, what would the 3rd thing be? Yeah, you just don't know. And since we are clearly getting an achievement for every item we see once, the real question is, are there any achievements whatsoever for making a specific choice or combination?
Hard-hitting docuseries, How to Cope with Boredom and Loneliness, a guide for the isolated. In tonight's episode, Nigel looks at a special case where a man has been grounded to his bedroom for over 33 years.
You'd almost want to,
Wimble.
for a game by this title, you'd almost want to have somebody who has like agoraphobia. There's a decent number of movies around that.
One nice picture of him, and even in that he's pissing on the cat.
Interesting. We're getting different intros.
In the end, I sent him to his bedroom, and the bad behaviour seemed to stop. So I've kept him up there permanently.
I had a look around Harold's room to discover what
Apparently.
he uses to cope with the boredom and loneliness from 33 years of isolation.
This is slightly changed each time.
For Harold, the watchful clock is ever ticking. In a way, time has been his only companion.
If you're gonna make a
I've
game
always hated
where
Crab Clock. He's always been there mocking me with his
where
incessant ticking
you
and
had like an
clocking. Did you know he's
agoraphobic
ticked roughly
that has to like survive or in the zombie
1,680,001,
apocalypse or something,
3 times
that
since
would
my
be interesting.
incarceration?
There's
I
a
didn't
decent
bother
number
counting the tox.
of people really enjoying the zombie apocalypse happening because it frees them to act differently and break from old habits.
An absent father was sometimes live
Which
on the
that's
road
really
with
what would have to
Mommy,
happen here. Is we'd have to
when's
see Harold
Daddy coming home?
Harold's
break
father has been
the
absent for most of his
um,
life.
break
Mostly
the
owing to
habit
the
of
fact that he's dead. He was involved
being
in a massive
trapped here.
collision, resulting in 52 deaths. Father made me this truck himself. He said he used to work on it while he was on long journeys. The police officer said he was whittling the last piece when his truck collided with the school bus.
Yep, that's fairly funny. He was distracted driving
You
and
can
hit
lose hours
a
to
bus.
the peace and tranquility of a well-maintained aquarium. But like the fish, Harold swimming in a sea of isolation.
I kind of wish your mouse cursor would disappear when
I
you
sometimes look at the fish tank
when
as if
you
it is my bedroom
see this.
and I am mother. But then I felt it wasn't fair to keep the fish isolated like me, so I set it free.
What did you do with the fish?
Well, I took it to school to release into the nearby brook. But by the time I had got there, it had dried out in my pocket.
So there was
My time with
a lot of
Harold
games
has
I've
come to
played
an
where
end.
you will
I hope
potentially get a
someday
good
you will
ending
find freedom
and get
in
one like
Liverpool life.
CG
Until
scene
then,
or
you will
one brief
continue to look for
cutscene.
ways to cope
And
with
often I
boredom
find that
and
frustrating,
loneliness.
particularly if it's like
I'm
a
Nigel Wimble.
20 to
Good
60
night.
hour game
Join
in
us
which you
next
have to
week as
potentially
Nigel
collect
investigates
hundreds, if not
sandwiches.
thousands, of
Do they
collectible
really
things.
taste better cut diagonally? Let the evidence
But
decide.
this
5
oddly
p.m.
feels
Wednesday
like
night on
you're not
PPTV.
earning these endings at all because you're just making 3 choices. Right. Focus group report horrible. The filmmaker asks a prisoner about a clock while I'm looking at my watch. 4 out of 10. A bored viewer. Great, yet another depressing show on TV. I love them. 6 out of 10. Sue from Dipswaddle. And then he murdered a fish, yet you put this man on television. 3 out of 10. A angry vegan. So I think we probably could do only slightly worse on that score, but we still have yet to find a 10 out of 10 option. And yeah, this is going to take about an hour. One of the beautiful things about Steam Direct is the idea that somebody could make this just because they wanted to teach themselves to program or teach themselves to animate, or just because they had an idea stuck in their head, and they thought they were actually creating something great. And honestly, I do think this is something since both of these games from this developer are free. It is something worth checking out. But yeah, it also has caused a real problem with Steam as a storefront instead of because you're trying to effectively serve 2 masters there. Is Steam supposed to be the museum that collects every single game that ever existed, regardless of quality of games? If it is supposed to be that, then Steam is woefully inadequate as far as sorting and organizing games. Or is Steam supposed to be a storefront where you are directed in the right direction to buy the games that would best suit you? And even in that instance, Steam is fairly a failure because they mostly will push you to the top, I'd say about 800 games. And after you've either purchased or played the top 800 games that everybody else has played, at that point you're either getting re-recommended games you've either decided you don't want to play, or you're seeing versions of the same game you've already played once before, with remasters becoming an increasing thing, or you're getting recommended things that you're just not going to ever be interested in. Steam really fails to highlight any small-time indie games and like promote them in any kind of random way. Much like how YouTube really drives everybody to watch the same trending YouTube videos and fails to promote any small-time content creators in any reasonable numbers. And if you don't believe me about that, just look at the recommendations page, and very quickly you'll see either you get recommended the same things you've already watched over and over again, or more often than not, or you get recommended big trending things that have no relation to any video you've ever watched before and you have almost certainly no interest in. Let's see these last 3 things. And it kind of feels like there should be a solution here. There's a really good ending where he leaves, and then there should be a really bad ending where he just kills himself or dies accidentally, tragically.
a guide for the isolated. In tonight's episode, Nigel looks at a special case where a man has been grounded to his bedroom for over 33 years. Hello, I'm Nigel Wimble.
The sad thing here
Well,
is
Harold's always been a naughty boy.
a parent
Quite out of hand, you know.
in the United States and in most
I've only
countries
got one nice picture of him,
probably
and even
can
in that he's pissing on the cat.
sneak in a
In the end, I sent
like
him to his
trap a
bedroom,
kid
and the bad
in the
behaviour
house
seemed to
and
stop,
control their lives
so I've kept him up
for
there
a very,
permanently.
very long time. Like
I had to
even
look around
past
Harold's room to discover
like
what he
the age of
uses to cope with
adulthood.
the boredom and loneliness
There's
from
no
33
real
years of isolation.
guarantee that someone has to be
With an isolated idiot
out and about
watching
and a
television
part of
with an
society in any
escapism
way.
we all
There's no
take for
social
granted.
checks to that
Well,
idea.
Mother treated me to a modern television last year. She says if I'm good this year, she will allow me to keep the plug for an extra 10 minutes. But you haven't been good, have you, Harold? Tell the man about the carrot you stuck up your nose. I told you not to smuggle food in here. Well, Kevin likes a snack when we watch the first 23 minutes of a movie.
So it looks like there might be a
Harold's mother
synergy with
has
Kevin.
always played prison warden, from room to room. Margaret, do you worry about the harm this isolation may be causing Harold?
Harold bolt this on himself. What about me? I've been isolated too. I haven't had sex since Harold's father died. No one would ever want to be stepfather to that little bastard. You should be making this documentary about me. I'm the one being punished. I'm so lonely, Mr. Wimble.
That's pretty much, you can see a abusive
Harold still
narcissism.
sleeps in the plastic race car bed he slept in as a child.
And really, this
can
is a
imagine
great
Harold
example
dreaming
of
about
like a parent that
driving away from this
should have been smart enough to
isolated
realize
childlike
she's just not going to be a
reality.
good parent
Well, I
and
always
put him
had a
up for
passion race
adoption,
cars as a
which
child,
isn't a great
but I suppose
solution,
that
but
passion has since left me.
it would have been better
Unlike
than
the
this scenario.
Though I can't complain, the springs merely provide moderate pain, and my feet dangle no more than 7 to 10 inches from the end of the mattress. Like Mother always says, as long as your head is above water, you can technically sleep anywhere.
So
My time with Harold has
I
come
think
to an
that's
end.
it.
I hope one day he will find freedom and live a full life.
So now we
Until
just
then,
need to
he will
see if we
continue
can
to look
figure
for
out
ways to cope
if there's
with
anything
boredom
more,
and loneliness.
or if this is
I'm
just the whole
Nigel
game.
Wimble. Good night. Join us next week as Nigel investigates cows and why so many stomachs. 9 p.m. Wednesday night on PPTV.
My real thought here would be, is there, oops, sorry about that. Like, it really feels like there should be a weird ending in this somewhere. Something along the lines of, if you pick 3 items, you would summon the devil, or you would, he'd gain superpowers. So good. He should be happy with his TV switched off. He doesn't have to watch this drivel. 4 out of 10. Chris from Gob's Cockle. Next we have alert hot MILFs in your area. Margaret sounds DTF. Can you give her my number? 5554543. 1 out of 10. Gary the Perv. And then I laughed so hard I pooped milk. 8 out of 10. Philip Owlsbear. Right, so now I'm looking at the achievements, and there's something I'm missing here. There's an achievement called award winning, get a perfect review. There's something called potential soundbite, which I must have missed a soundbite somewhere. And then there's an achievement called nothing left on the cutting room floor. Okay. And see, unless this unlocked something. Like, this definitely feels like this is less intuitive than the first game. The first game was much more of an experience. So, which one was 10 out of 10? Did I get a soundbite on her?
Potential soundbite. A mother's love is very special. I've been with many single.
No, we've heard that one.
Neither. Potential soundbite. Asleep in his race car bed. I imagine Harold dreams of driving off this road of isolation.
Must have missed something.
Potential soundbite. With Hollywood already filled with.
We already did that one.
Potential soundbite for the isolation.
We already did that one.
Potential soundbite for some.
Already did that one.
Potential soundbite. Music can turn your ears into eyes and show you worlds your eyes wouldn't believe.
Yeah, maybe I hadn't done that one.
Potential soundbite. Like the fish, Harold is swimming in a sea of isolation.
I already did that one.
Nice.
It doesn't seem like there is a father path here.
Toy truck serves as a reminder of an absent father. Where sometimes life on the road means, Mommy, when's Daddy coming home? Well, that's gonna hit hard.
Yeah, we'd already done all these though, so.
Potential soundbite for.
It's just, I guess, maybe potential soundbite in each one. And maybe I just didn't do them all in one room.
Potential.
So.
Harold Fletcher, a curious man in a curious situation.
Is this going to take long? Mother says visitation. Even though.
Did we possibly not look at everything?
Harold's mother Margaret. How long?
Oh, Harold.
42 minutes.
Oh.
Is there some object I missed? Because if there was this object I missed, then that would explain it all. Alright, well, I'm going to select this one. I'm going to select this one. And then I'm going to select this one. And I think that's it. As far as award winning, getting 3 10s, there were 3 items that gave you a 10 out of 10 on your review.
His name's Harold Fletcher, and he spent the last 30 years grounded to his bedroom. In tonight's final part of How to Cope with Boredom and Loneliness, a guide for the isolated.
There might just be an achievement
worst for last. And by worst,
for getting all the lines of dialogue.
Hello, I'm Nigel Wimble.
And that's what is labeled as potential soundbite.
It wasn't for any one thing in particular. More just a bubbling pot of bad behaviour that's needed to put a lid on, so to speak.
You can replace the word lid with Harold's bedroom door to understand Harold's mother's analogy. I was desperate to discover how Harold had been coping with the boredom and loneliness from 30 years of isolation. Harold still sleeps in the plastic race car bed.
Suppose it's worth mentioning that,
as a child.
Like,
You can imagine Harold
legally, being in isolation is limited amongst prisoners and even U.S. prisoners being tortured in in different
Though I can't
places. They
complain,
tend
the
not to
screens merely provide
try to
minor
lock
uptime,
people
and my feed
in
angle no more than 7
in
to 10 inches
rooms
from the end of the
by
mattress.
themselves for years
Like Mother
upon
always
years.
said,
That's
as long
a
as your head is
fast
above
track to
water, it
insanity.
can technically sleep anywhere.
I spied a screenplay Harold had been working on. A movie producer in the making. He
There
certainly
is, I
wouldn't look out of
suppose, a
place in
question
Hollywood.
here.
He decided to read me some lines
As
from his
far
new
as
screenplay called Brad Planet and the Tentacle of
the
Temptation.
order of the
She ran a
videos.
slightly damp tentacle across his cheek as
Let's
he
go ahead and
gazed long.
skip this if we can.
I don't care that you tried to bite my head off. Run away.
Just
I love
save
you
herself.
Too. Let me. Now come. Oh. That well.
Alright.
I don't know. Absent or off could Harold.
I created. I had planned. I was so. The broken. I'm quite. And he's never.
Really trying to figure out what the nothing
The
left
time
on the
of
cutting room
Harold has
floor
come to
quest,
an
though.
end.
I'm looking
I
at the
hope one day
icon
he
and
will
I
find
just
freedom and live a full life.
am not
Until
sure
then, he will continue to look for ways
what
to
that
cope
would be.
with boredom and loneliness.
Says,
I'm Nigel Wimble.
says watch every
Good night.
scene.
Join us next week as Nigel investigates cows and why so many stomachs. 9 p.m. Wednesday night on PPTV.
Well, I don't think I skipped any scenes originally. Okay. So we didn't do that right. Screenplay. And then screenplay was good, but the other two were not the 10 out of 10s. If anything, the fish art was... So we'll select paper stack. And then I feel like it must be movie and then guitar. But I also feel like there must be some kind of item that I've missed here.
Isolation is no joke. It's not just boring, it's lonely too. Nobody understands that more than the subject of tonight's episode of How to Cope with Boredom and Loneliness, a guide for the isolated. Hello, I'm Nigel Wimble.
Generally, I don't feel
Harold
like
Fletcher
games
has been
designed
going to his
for you to
bedroom
play
since
over and over again are the
1986.
greatest.
That's
Like,
over 30 years.
sometimes I've seen some puzzle
His mother
games
has
that,
offered us a
that
rare glimpse into
sort of
his
work
life
this
as
way, but
prisoner and son.
you don't want to put
On your feet,
10
Fletcher. Have a
hours
visitor.
into a game like this. It's
I hope
just
to learn how Harold has coped
too
with the
repetitive
boredom and loneliness from 30 years
in a
of
way that people
isolation.
aren't numb to, where first person shooting
Despite
and
the
just
screenplay Harold had been working on,
puzzle
a
platforming
movie
are things
producer in the
people that
making,
don't
he
realize
certainly
are,
wouldn't look
are
out of place in
repetitive, even though
Hollywood.
they are
He decided
incredibly
to read me
repetitive.
some lines from his new screenplay called Brad Planet.
She ran. I don't care. Run away.
We'll skip through all that.
Let me. Now come. Oh, Brad. That well.
See, I think he mentions his
I
father
noticed a poster for an old children's movie.
in the screenplay
For some,
and the
movies are an
truck,
escape
but I don't
from
know what the
reality.
third item
But
would be.
Harold, his reality is like a movie. A depressing TV movie starring actors you haven't seen in 20 years.
I do love getting lost in a good mood.
Let's go
It
ahead and
was the
skip
last-
this.
I remember.
See if we can skip all of this. Or do we want to watch this a second time?
I'm an intellectual, I'm Russian, you see, I'm the homosexual. Good night, comrade, your drink's been laced. I'm gonna tie you up, pollinate your face. I want to torture
Yep,
you.
you can't skip this, so...
I'm honest, the KGB, you better be there, brother, I'm breaking knees. I'm a mad brother, buzzer, I'm KGB. You want to buzz with me, you can't buzz with me. To the K, to the G,
Not really a lot to say here, other than if you're gonna go through this more than once, you're gonna have to watch it more than once.
Please, you don't have to do this. It was just business. It was all about the money. I'm not a traitor. I love this country. You've got to release me. You have to see. I'm country first and I'm still KGB. You are no longer KGB. You're just a super worker bee. Person number 33. Have another broccoli. Would you like a cup of tea? That was just a joke. You see, you'll never see a cup of tea. As long as you're elected, the coffee is available. If you like a cup of tea, would you like a
There are several dozen joke games on Steam where it does feel like it's just a small group of people or one person goofing around putting a game on Steam, paying the $100 to put it on Steam Direct. It's weird, certainly, and it floods the market. It's not really the place I think Steam should be. I feel like joke games and small things, small games like this should probably be on a different storefront,
Do you remember that, Mother?
like
Yes, I do
a
remember you
dollar
teasing us
store
shit.
compared
Then
to
Mother would put you over
to
on
a
me, but you didn't tell the
premium
man that, did you?
premium
Have you seen the version on
storefront.
YouTube where the movie speeds up every time Boris kills a dissident? It becomes quite dizzying.
Music can take you to places only your ears can see. The guitar is Harold's vessel to unseen worlds, and he is the captain.
If Mother allows it, I will play you a new piece I've been working on, entitled Plastic Race Car Bed.
I imagine he has only one song he plays.
Here we are, sitting in my car.
Can we skip this? Nope. It's also weird for like the right side of a microphone, of a stereo microphone, to be lower than the left side. Although I have seen that happen quite a lot. It seems to mostly be a case of just where you orient a stereo microphone setup.
My time with Harold has come to an end.
But you can see that this is just a loop animation, and this is, and so is this, and not sure you really need any of that.
Boredom and Loneliness. I'm Nigel Wimble. Good night. Join us next week.
I suppose there is a
Nigel
meta
investigates video games.
narrative here that
Is it more
I'm
than just bang, bang,
wasting an
bombs and
hour
flag?
playing this
9
free
PM,
game,
Wednesday night. BBTV.
coping with boredom and loneliness, particularly in these days. Screenplay is 10 out of 10, and the guitar is 10 out of 10, but the B is not 10 out of 10. Alright, well, we'll remember that. Let's click shoot documentary.
I need to select 3 items first.
Interesting. Is there possibly anything we didn't get a commentary on? That one. And that one, I think. See, would there be a reason? If we were to do that one and then
I need to select 3 items first.
So you need to pick 3 things. He hates the clock. We have a fish and a fish. Is there some other tricky thing? Yeah,
Isolation is no joke. It's not just boring.
Nothing
it's
left on the
lonely
cutting
too.
room floor. Watch
Nobody
every
understands
scene.
that more than the subject of tonight's
How could we have
episode
missed a scene except
How
for
to
the
Cope with
award-winning,
Boredom and Loneliness.
which
A
is
guide
get a
for the
perfect
isolated.
review.
Hello, I'm Nigel.
I don't know how we do the potential soundbite.
Harold Fletcher
Unless
has been
potential
grounded to his
soundbite
bedroom
is
since
watching the credits.
1986. That's over 30 years. His mother has...
Let's see, skip this.
I hope to... Harold, but at least...
Yes.
What? We saw... Whether this... As Kevin has...
You have some
But
weird
the
film grain
isolated idiot.
that happens also here.
Well, Mother... She says if I... But you haven't... Tell the man... I told... Well, Kevin, like...
See, there's a reference to Kevin again.
With an eye in the sky, you can sometimes forget where your feet are. But Harold, he never forgets where his feet are, but still has sights on the stars.
This old telescope has got me through many an afternoon.
Yeah, I think I may have to
Sometimes I'll
just
pretend
look
I'm a
up
World War II sniper
how to get
and
the
people at
final
bus stop are
cutscene if
advancing
I,
Germans.
after getting
wouldn't
the
stand a chance if it was a
award-winning
sniper
perfect
rifle,
score,
let me tell
because
They could try taking cover, but I'm pretty sure the bullets would penetrate the bus shelter. It would be an absolute...
I just don't think there's a third item that
My
mentions
time
Kevin.
with Harold has come to an end. I hope one day he will find freedom and live a full life. Until then, he will continue to look for ways to cope with boredom and loneliness. I'm Nigel Wimble. Good night. Join us next week as Nigel investigates Jesus. Did he really have a beard? 9 p.m. Wednesday.
We are just going through the same thing over and over again. There might be a thing for credits. If we watch the credits.
My name is Harold, I'm 40 years old. I'm going to fall in life for being naughty, not nice, but I'm a good boy, really. I just used to be silly, pissing on the cat and smoking jelly beans like crack. But life's
A guide for the isolated episode 3. Wonder if we always get episode 3.
Well, we are too. We don't say words like baff or poo. Now let me tell you about my best friend Kevin. He's a rabbit or a hare? Well, I just stopped caring. We've been locked in this cage more than friends at this stage. You can say we're in love, but we don't give a stuff. We got together in 86 or 87. For the actual date, you better go and ask Kevin.
See, quite a lot of people here listed on the credits. I assume these are real people and not just made up names. If they're made up names, then that gets confused, certainly. Just a lot. That's way too many programmers for this game. This should be like a intern project or a student project. It should just have like 1 or 2 people working on it. Although I guess maybe the idea.
Oh come on, Kevin, just drop it on the beat. Oh, for fuck's sake, Kevin, start rapping. Oh wait, that's right, I forgot to mention. Kevin's voice is in my imagination. Sometimes I think I'm going crazy. crazy. My mind is slow and my memory is hazy. But I tell you what's to blame is the situation. 33 years of this isolation. Yo, I've got to escape. I've got a great idea. So Kevin, shut up and listen here. I'm gonna chuck you out the window. Use you as a pillow. You'll be like a crash mat, so I don't go spare. We can steal a car if it's necessary. Or run for the woods and we can live on berries. So Kevin, are you in or are you undecided? Do you want us to hear? Isolated. Well, I think
So
says it all. So
this credit's really funny, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people didn't hear it
well, that was a dark rhyme.
at all.
Kevin, I wouldn't really kill her. I was just messing. Honestly, Kevin, I would never kill her. I'd never suffocate her and throw her in a river. I love my mum. She's my only mother. I just need a pillar. Should be easy to smother. Oh no, wait, did I say that out loud? Can I delete it or save to the cloud? Well, Kevin, I wish I just sung your verse. If the police see this, I'd be under arrest. Arrest, not a word, but it rhymes with verse. I meant to say arrest, but it came out worse. But now I'm just starting to digress. Shut up now and give it a rush.
It says look out for more Point Bleep Studios on Steam, and then it gives you a QR code to scan, which, yeah, 2 free games on Steam. I don't know how they could really afford to keep on doing this. The password is Marlowe, apparently.
See, it wasn't so hard, was it, Kevin? I'll just do all the rhyming.
So yeah, I wonder if this was a game company that had made like AA games or AAA games, and then they had some downtime and they made this side game and they put it out for free, that would be one thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if Point Bleep Studios or the people that work there actually have worked on other games as like third-party support, and this is just something they did when they didn't have a contract to help finish a first-party developer finish their program. And this putting out 2 free games on Steam does, I guess, help build your brand, as it were, but not by much, frankly, because there's definitely a lot of low-effort asset flippers out there that have hundreds of games on their storefront. And you do have an extra complication. Let's go ahead and hit that. Okay. Alright, so we now know... Interesting, this is kind of glitched. We now know it's the rabbit and the guitar and the bed. Yeah. You know that this developer and publisher hasn't worked on their Steam account lately because they haven't adopted the new style of design for their website, and that is going to be a growingly obvious factor to when you start looking at certain developers' pages or publishers' pages, and you see, oh, that nobody has updated this, which means they probably don't think they're ever making another game.
Grounded to his bedroom. Its final part of how to cope with boredom
it does
and
seem,
loneliness,
particularly on Steam, like a company can list a game and list an account somewhere. I wouldn't even be surprised if Steam actually just sits on people's money and doesn't auto direct deposit some of it if an account dies. So it does feel like some people just kind of abandon their games on the Steam, and the games still are available for sale, which is fine for the consumer, but it does create this potential situation where 40, 50 years down the road, there might be money going into some bank account that's never being looked at, and people might be buying a game and yet not really supporting anybody in any way other than a banker collecting interest on your
We've become rather close over these
on
past few
said
years
bank
and
accounts,
perhaps more than just
where
friends at this stage.
I think most people would want to their hard-earned money to support people who had actually created the game in some way and the potential development of more games. And in this case, you almost certainly can assume that you won't. Let's go ahead and skip this. You won't ever see any other game like this, which is fine because these two free games are more than enough. And honestly, I much prefer the In the Mind of Marlowe as a point-and-click adventure game.
No, I can't complain. The spring
It should have been more of an episodic
Mother
thing.
always says,
I wouldn't
as
even
your head
have
is above
been
water,
upset
you can
if
technically sleep
there was a
anywhere.
point-and-click adventure section, and then there was a section like this, and then once you got a perfect score, decided to move forward, you went back to a point-and-click section.
If Mother allows it,
I would frankly prefer even like a hidden object game than just anything with very simplistic mini games would be better than just picking 3 things and then watching a cutscene. I think if we get a perfect score here, it's going to be very hard to justify doing anything different.
My time with Harold has come to an end. I hope one day he will find freedom and live a full life. Until then, he will continue to look for ways to cope with boredom and loneliness. I'm Nigel Wimble. Good night.
Like, even now it seems like they're trying to speed
Jesus.
this,
Did he really have a beard?
speed up this
9
whole
PM,
process.
Wednesday night. on
It's
PBTV.
so redundant, so repetitive. Oh no, I messed up. Rabbit. No, it's the rabbit, it's the tentacle porn, and then it's the guitar, isn't it? Yeah. See if we have any options here. See, options. Potential soundbite. If we were to turn that down all the way and turn that off, and then go back to the game and click play. That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe something being labeled as potential soundbite is to just do that. Select rabbit. Select paper stack. Select guitar. Potential soundbite. I feel like I maybe had a potential soundbite specifically recorded, and I just didn't let it play all the way through. That might be the case, and so I may have to just go through all of these and just let them play without clicking forward and skipping. Alright. And it's very, very silent now with the audio down. It's pretty much a different experience, and this does kind of go and show how you really wouldn't want to play a game like this with just going through the text. Like the background piano music can do its best to make the game not annoying, but it would be fairly annoying as a visual novel style game. And that's really where I line up with visual novels too. Is I've considered playing a lot of them, put a lot on my follow list, a lot on my wish list, which the follow list is the maybe I'll put it on the wish list and buy it at some point in the future. But but most visual novels need to have voice acting. Otherwise, I feel the need to read things out loud, and then that wears out my voice quite a lot, and that's just not really what I want or want to do with my channel. It's annoying. It doesn't sound good. I'm no voice actor, certainly. And so I guess the singing probably will fall into the music section.
Here we are, sitting in my car, my little plastic car. Yes, here we are. Oh my car, my little plastic car. Take me to the road and I sing this song. Old hot tar, not in my car.
Yeah. The other thing I would say about visual novels is visual novels tend to fall under 2 or 3 categories. You're either talking a romance visual novel, or you're talking a horror or murder mystery visual novel. And so you kind of know what to expect, and you kind of get what you expect there. Or I suppose it is probably also fair to say a lot of the ones that are sold as romance visual novels are really just low effort games trying to show you a small collection of nudes images. Why is the text in the middle this time? 1 month later, the following footage was uploaded to us from our missing cameras. Ah. So this is the scene you couldn't see any other way.
This is one I wrote for you, Kevin.
Like, nothing left on the cutting room floor. Probably will unlock now.
When we're in my room alone, I start to take off all my clothes. I wish I had a camera phone, cause that's a nice erotic pose. Or we could make a calendar and you could be December. Oh, carrots help you see in the dark. We don't need lights when we fuck. I just need somewhere to park. Actually, I think it's too dark. I can't see anything. Can we put the lights on low?
You can see the battery's almost dead on the camera too.
Kevin, you're a friend of mine. Through thick and thin, together to the end of time. Oh, Kevin, you're a friend of mine, but I never really took the time to find out what was on your mind, just what you have in your insides. Oh, Kevin, I'm so sorry, I don't want to see you cry.
What's funny is this guy kind of looks like Gallagher, which was the comedian that would smash watermelons.
I'm not sure he's into you or even available.
Although Gallagher also, like, at one point sold his whole skit to, like, his cousin or his brother or something. Of course, after about the 5th or 6th special of seeing someone just smash watermelons and do prop comedy, it got kind of played out. And certainly it was a thing of its time. I don't think if Gallagher came back today, he would be as interesting. Although, maybe not. We might be very ripe for simplistic prop comedy everybody can enjoy, and instead of more harsher comedy of modern times, more divisive comedy of modern times. And I'm about to make... Come in, Mother. Better not be touching Kevin up again. I'm merely serenading him, Mother. What are you doing with that camera? Where did you get it? I found it, Mother. Mr. Wimble must have dropped it. I thought I'd use it to record a song for Kevin. You can play it back if you want to listen. No, I don't want to bloody listen to it. You stole the camera, didn't you? You thieving little puss. What have you been recording? Mommy's secrets? He's gonna come back here looking for it. He will come back looking for it. Mommy's gonna get changed. Give me that camera. I'll make sure Mr. Wimble gets what he's looking for. You stay up here in your bedroom. Okay, Mother, don't hurt him like the other men. So apparently, she's murdered people. Focus group report, excellent. Wow. Hard-hitting stuff. Anyone know where I could order a rabbit like that? So we got 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and 10 and 10. So, at this point, I think the only thing I am missing, I have to reload the page, so I'll take a second. No, there's something still for a potential soundbite that I just have no idea where that would be. And I totally messed myself up by setting that way. So I doubt anything would be different here. So there's like two more achievements. We didn't get the cutting room floor. Nothing left on the cutting room floor. Achievement. So there is one more cutscene, one more revelation. But yeah, I just don't really know what it would be. Think about the telescope. Unless it was something where you potentially soundbited.
Potential soundbite.
Let's see, are we getting the same soundbite each
Potential
time?
sound.
Or
Potential. Then again. Potential. Have I
yeah, I just don't think.
Potential. Oh, let's.
I don't think I missed out.
Potential.
Because if we went through all of these
Potential. Yeah.
and we got all the potential sound bites, which I think we did the very first time we played,
Potential.
and we've done it where we've not done any potential sound bites, and we've done it where we have
Potential.
just sound bited.
Neither is Harold.
So maybe
Potential soundbite. Harold's mother's love, and neither.
let's see.
Potential. Harold Fletcher, a curious man in a curious
Interesting.
situation.
Is this going to take long? Mother says visitation is only 15 minutes
See,
a day.
and that just triggered
Even
it.
though you're the first visitor I've ever had.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there, in the sense that I just got the last two achievements, watch every scene, and get a potential soundbite. There must have been a soundbite I missed that happened either with the car or by looking at Harold. So people hate writing on the wall. They hate killing the fish. They love that. Let's see. What about the TV? Yeah. I think that probably is it's either the TV or the bed. And the mural and the fish and the bed would be very old things. So if there was any lowest of the low scores you were looking for here, it would be probably those three things. But it doesn't seem like there really is a solution or anything for getting the lowest score possible, when there definitely should have been. There should have been either a combination of three low items that got you a straight 0, or just three items in general that or 0 items as far as your score.
Harold,
It's not like the numbers on the scores really even matter.
Well, I took it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
Harold, Stu, you can imagine.
well, but I suppose. Unlike
Let's just keep skipping, and then we'll be
like
done.
Mother always says.
We went a little longer here compared to the previous game, but in all fairness, in the previous game, The Mind of Marlowe, I missed a couple of achievements, and when I went back and did them, I probably did put another 25 minutes into it, playing it a second time.
And loneliness. I'm Nigel Wimble. Good night. Join us next week as Nigel investigates video games.
I kind of feel like there
Is
should
it
be
more than just bang bang your mum's a fag?
there should be like a response, or at least a dialogue here, something that goes and tells you that, oh yeah, this is how you deal with boredom and loneliness, or I hope you can go out there and find your own personal way to deal with boredom and loneliness. I doubt there will be too many people that would have bought a game like this and thought it actually would have answered the question, but it feels like there should have been some attempt at that. And see, I messed up again. The bed was not one of them, as far as the lowering score one. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this recording. 2 games from the same studio for free. You've probably, if you've watched both videos, seen almost everything there's to see, but I could see, since you get them for free, you might as well install them and play it once. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.